While truly appreciating the personal side of the story, I just wanted to reflect on business on the same front. Like you can sit in a mastermind group or any room with your peers and talk about business issues as well. And if somebody who facilitates that asks, okay, what is your issue? What is your issue? By the time you go around the room of 10, 20, 50 people, highly likely that almost every single issue that's being brought up is being experienced by at least one, but probably the majority of people in the room. So the personal stories as well as the business stories, it applies, doesn't it?
It does indeed. And what I always tell to my clients and my audience, I chose to go basically full Monty. My book is rather explicit on everything that happened, including the violence. I must say, I did still tone it down to make it accessible and readable. I didn't want to touch upon every pain point, so to speak, literally. You need not go full Monty. Because ultimately, what I find that people look for when they decide on whom to work with, they seek a story of transformation. Because I've also had messages from people who say, I've got a business, but I don't have a huge trauma. Will my story mean anything? Will it benefit anybody? And then I say it's all about that transformation. And everybody, be it a small or a big transformation, has changed something in his or her life. We've moved, maybe sometimes even countries. We've had children, we've had relationships, we've entered into, we've entered out to. And it's a transformation that people love to hear about. What has it brought you? Where were you then? Where are you now? Why are you doing what you're doing? There's always this story of transformation. And that's what I sort of want to shed a light upon with the clients in the audience.
But rather than the size of the trauma.
Yes, indeed.
Because everybody's got a story. Everybody carries a baggage.
Yes.
Everybody's got some level of trauma. And to us, to the individual, that is the biggest trauma or crisis or just experience. Actually, it doesn't have to be trauma, does it?
Exactly. Experience and transformation more than the trauma itself. If people choose to really focus in on that and say, okay, I've been through it. And like yourself, I want to bring awareness. It's certainly something that we can work with, but it's not an obligation to show it all, to still have that impact of awareness, still have that impact of transformation on those who then choose to work with you, other than obviously that you provide a good service or product or offer. It's a personal touch that someone recognizes in you that makes them choose you.
Yes, very much so. Again, reflecting it back onto business, because we're talking about visibility here. We've already covered that a person's story is kind of like the strongest selling point because people buy into people. But for the entrepreneurs listening, kind of a bit like me as well, where I literally often feel like I'm just sort of shouting into the void or even struggling to put anything out there into the world because, we are all sort of so overwhelmed with social media and trying to put our story out there and trying to put our offers out there. And where do we start? Where do we continue? But what part of our story is that we are almost kind of like hiding and keeping us invisible?
It's that story that at times still keeps you up at night. It's that story that makes you wonder, if people knew this, would they still? And the thing is, yes, they would. If you package it in a way that shows what you've gone through in a way that is helpful to them. And what always works for me is that when it comes to visibility, like we are talking now, I speak to the one person who obviously resembles myself, that one person that I was 10 years ago, that would love to have had the knowledge that I have now. And then you can duplicate it to 2 persons, 20 persons, 200 persons. But ultimately, your message, even though you would wish to reach as many as you can, that you deem your ideal client to be, or you deem your audience to be, that you would love to help in whatever shape or form, it is still a one-to-one conversation, even though you might not have the direct connection as we are having now. When you say something online, speak to that one person, and that is what really brings the connection.